Hey everyone, welcome back. So President Trump said that he's going to be issuing tariff dividend stimulus checks of $2,000 to all low and middle income Americans. Would these checks be enough to change around the mindset of how most Americans on both sides of the political aisle and how they feel about these tariffs that have been implemented? In today's video, we are going to be covering everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into for today. So Donald Trump has come out and said that he's going to be promising Americans $2,000 dividend stimulus checks based on the revenue that is coming in from these tariffs. He said that these checks are going to be going out to all low and middle income Americans. Let's go ahead and watch.
We're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work. And the numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs. And so if that were ever reversed, it would be a disaster. Frankly, it would be a national security problem for our country. And nobody thinks it's going to be reversed. I think we had a very good court case. As you know, it's before the Supreme Court right now. But if that were ever reversed, people are saying, oh, it's $1 billion. Some people said, oh, it's $2 billion. Well, that obviously we can handle very easily. But this is trillions of dollars we're talking about in terms of the tariff income and all the investment income that's come into our country.
Okay, so there is once again President Trump promising the $2,000 checks based on the tariff revenue. And of course, these tariffs have really not been all that popular among the American people on both sides of the political aisle. We have Democrats, obviously, who are very much against the tariffs, as they pretty much are against all of Trump's policies altogether. And then even Republicans have actually been speaking out against some of Trump's policies as well, including these tariffs. So not even Republicans are the biggest fans of these tariffs, not just the voters, but we also have members of Congress such as Representative Thomas Massie, who has really been speaking out against these tariffs, and he believes that it is an extra tax on the American people, that this is eventually getting passed on to the consumer because of obviously, if Walmart and Target are now having to pay that extra tariff coming in, if they're not having to pay extra for goods coming in from China, Korea, India, other countries, obviously if they want to make the same profit, they have to also raise the price on us, the consumer. So in the end, we are also paying more money. Now, Trump believes these tariffs are a great thing, though, and he believes that anyone who thinks they are a bad thing are fools. So he came out actually on his Truth Social and he said that people that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt. $37 trillion, record investment in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, parentheses, not including high-income people, will be paid out to everyone. So leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about the tariffs? Do you consider them to be a good thing, or do you consider them to be a bad thing? Also, drop your comments below. Do you believe a $2,000 check would be a good thing? Are you for this, or are you against these $2,000 dividend checks? Now, as far as polling goes, we actually have polling from YouGov that once again shows opposition from both sides of the political aisle. So one of the questions are asked is, they said, do you think that tariffs imposed by Donald Trump have decreased or increased or had no effect on the prices you paid for things that you bought? So this question is basically asking people if they believe that the prices have been increasing since these tariffs have been implemented. Out of all U.S. adult citizens, 73% said the prices have increased a lot. 14% said no effect. Around 11% said not sure. And then as far as Democrats go, Democrats, of course, by wide majority, said that 92% of Democrats said that prices have been increasing a lot or slightly, whereas very few have said there have been no effect on the prices. Independents are at 72% saying that prices have increased a lot or slightly. And then finally, Republicans, even Republicans, the vast majority of Republicans say that at 56%, prices have been increasing a lot or slightly, whereas at just 27% of Republicans saying that the prices have had no effect. So, obviously both sides of the political aisle are pretty much saying there that these tariffs are having an impact on their everyday lives. They are now having to pay more for the same goods and services that they were before now after these tariffs have been implemented. Now, another one of the questions that they were asked is last week the Supreme Court heard a challenge to President Trump's authority to impose tariffs. Do you think the Supreme Court probably will strike down Trump's tariffs or allow them to stand? 25% of adults said they will probably strike down Trump's tariffs, whereas 42% said they will probably allow them to stand. As far as Democrats go, 34% of Democrats said they will probably strike down tariffs. 23% of independents said they'll probably strike down Trump's tariffs. And just 18% of Republicans believe they will probably strike down tariffs. And then finally, the last question, they asked, what do you think the Supreme Court should do? So this is asking them what they think they should do. 85% of Democrats believe that the Supreme Court should strike down Trump's tariffs. Not a big surprise there. 48% of independents believe that the Supreme Court should strike down Trump's tariffs. And then 14% of Republicans. So actually, the vast majority of Republicans believe that the Supreme Court should not strike down Trump's tariffs. At 68%, the Supreme Court believes that they should stand, even though the prices have been increasing. So obviously these tariffs have not been very popular among Americans, but we have Howard Lutnick coming out and saying that we need to send out these $2,000 checks in order to make these tariffs more favorable for the American people. Let's go ahead and watch.
Look, the tariffs are an American policy. The president wants the American people to understand how great tariffs are for them. And so one of the ways to prove to the American people how great tariffs are is to have them share in a part of 1 year's income from these tariffs. And that's $2,000 a head, as he said, for people who need the money. He's going to constrain it to people who need the money. And that's exciting. So the president's got that on his desk. I know that's something he wants to achieve, and his legislative team will figure out the best way to do it. But what he's trying to do is make sure people in America understand that tariffs are their policy. It's to make America stronger, and it can also benefit their pocketbook, and that is coming next year from the president.
So again, whether or not these $2,000 checks end up happening, it's really hard saying, but they really basically have two ways of getting this done. The first way would be the conventional way. That would be passing the bill through the House with just a simple majority support. Right now in the House, there are 219 Republicans, whereas there are just 213 Democrats. They do have 3 vacancies right now. So as long as the majority of Republicans got on board with this bill and they were able to amass maybe 215 plus votes on this bill, they could pass it without any Democratic support. The problem, however, comes down to the Senate, because in the Senate, for a conventional bill to pass, they would need at least 60 votes. In the Senate, Republicans just have 53 seats, and then of course there are some very fiscally conservative Senate Republicans, such as Rand Paul, who would probably vote against this bill. So if we had, say, maybe 2 or 3 Republicans that vote against the bill, they would then be down to 50 votes, and then they would need 10 Democrats to join the 50 Republicans to get the 60 votes that they would need. So they may not be able to get it done that way. Now, the second way they could get this done would be through a reconciliation bill. That would be like the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that the Trump administration passed back in July earlier on this year. With that, they would not need 60 votes. They would just need at least 50 votes in the Senate. And then, of course, J.D. Vance would be the tie-breaking vote. So if they wanted to do it via reconciliation and perhaps include other things such as health care in the bill, that would always be an option for them as well. If Democrats did not want to join Republicans in sending out a $2,000 check just before the midterm election next year. Again, Trump wants to send these checks out at some point of the middle of next year. So perhaps July, August, or September. That would be just a couple or a few months before the midterm elections, which could certainly help Republicans out, because right now Democrats are actually favorably polling. They're polling favorably come the midterm elections. So maybe Republicans could receive a boost by sending out a check with Trump's name on it right before the midterm elections, especially if Republicans are the only one approving of it. Again, leave your thoughts and comments below, but that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.